فأنزل السكينة عليهم وأثابهم فتحا قريبا ومغانم كثيرة يأخذونها وكان الله عزيزا حكيما وعدكم الله مغانم كثيرة تأخذونها فعجل لكم هذه وكف أيدي الناس عنكم ولتكون آية للمؤمنين ويهديكم صراطا مستقيما وأخرى لم تقدروا عليها قد أحاط الله بها وكان الله على كل شيء قديرا ولو قاتلكم الذين كفروا لولوا الأدبار ثم لا يجدون وليا ولا نصيرا سنة الله التي قد خلت من قبل ولن تجد لسنة الله تبديلا وهو الذي كف أيديهم عنكم وأيديكم عنهم ببطن مكة من بعد أن أظفركم عليهم وكان الله بما تعملون بصيرا صدق الله العظيم.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Do Shaykh पढ़ लीजिए. I request our brothers inshallah to participate in the Durood Sharif inshallah. ऐसा मुअत्तर ऐसा मुअंबर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ऐसा मुअत्तर ऐसा मुअंबर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम 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 ऐसा मुअत्तर ऐसा मुअंबर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम कुरान उतरा आंगन में उनके कुरान उतरा आंगन में उनके کیا کچھ نہیں ہے دامن میں ان کے، کیا کچھ نہیں ہے دامن میں ان کے، انا اعطیناک الکوثر صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، انا اعطیناک الکوثر صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. Together inshallah. صلی اللہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. ایسا معطر، ایسا معمبر، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. چاہے تو ٹکڑے چاند کے کر دے، چاہے تو ٹکڑے چاند کے کر دے، حکم خدا سے قبلہ بدل دے، حکم خدا سے قبلہ بدل دے. ہر ایک ادا ہے محبوب داور صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. ایسا معطر، ایسا معمبر، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم. ایسا معطر، ایسا معمبر، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم، صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم.
صحبت اللہ والوں کی پڑھ دو، سنگل پڑھ دو.
اوکے. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم. صحبت اللہ والوں کی، صحبت اللہ والوں کی اللہ سے ملوا جاتی ہے، صحبت اللہ والوں کی اپنا رنگ دکھا جاتی ہے، صحبت اللہ والوں کی، صحبت اللہ والوں کی اللہ سے ملوا جاتی ہے، صحبت اللہ والوں کی اپنا رنگ دکھا جاتی ہے، صحبت اللہ والوں کی، صحبت اللہ والوں کی. ظلم و ستم ہو، درد ہو غم ہو، ظلم و ستم ہو، درد ہو غم ہو، یا کوئی ہو رنج و الم، سارے تعلق رب سے جوڑو، کر دے گا وہ نظر کرم، کر دے گا وہ نظر کرم. تار سے تار ملا جاتی ہے، صحبت اللہ والوں کی اپنا رنگ دکھا جاتی ہے، صحبت اللہ والوں کی، صحبت اللہ والوں کی. ذکر ہے حق کی فکر ہے حق کی سچی لگن مل جاتی ہے قلب کو اللہ 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 کی دھن مل جاتی ہے اللہ کی دھن مل جاتی ہے معصیت چھڑوا جاتی ہے صحبت اللہ والوں کی اپنا رنگ دکھا جاتی ہے صحبت اللہ والوں کی صحبت اللہ والوں کی حق کے سفیر ہے یہ بدر منیر ہے یہ روشن دماغ ہے یہ روشن ضمیر ہے یہ ان کی وفائے پیاری ان کی ادائے پیاری ان کی صدائے پیاری ان کی دعائیں پیاری ہے خوش نصیب لوگ وہ ہے خوش نصیب لوگ وہ ہے خوش نصیب لوگ وہ جن کو نصیب ہو صحبت اللہ والوں کی صحبت اللہ والوں کی اللہ سے ملوا جاتی ہے صحبت اللہ والوں کی اپنا رنگ دکھا جاتی ہے صحبت اللہ والوں کی صحبت اللہ والوں کی صحبت اللہ والوں کی
السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. So nice to have you all here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for every step you took from your home and for every pound and penny of petrol you put in your tank and for every effort you made to get here. It's not easy this day and age going somewhere. We struggle to go to the masjid for 5-7 namaz. تو اتنا دور آنا بیوی بچوں کو چھوڑ کر اپنا کام کاج چھوڑ کر ماشاءاللہ آپ نے اچھی قربانی دی ہے. اللہ آپ کی اس قربانی کو قبول فرمائے اس کا اجر نصیب فرمائے. پریشان کر رہا مچھر مار دیا اس کو. چلے جی بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم نحمدہ ونصلی علی رسولہ النبی الامی الکریم وعلی آلہ واصحابہ اجمعین اما بعد. In our last spiritual retreat, we had some question answer session. Many questions were covered, some were left. Maulana Bilal Ishaq ji sahab saved them and he gave me these questions. I said, chalo mashallah, aaj ke bayan mein ye question hi hum cover kar lenge. So someone had asked, Maulana sahab, what is tasawwuf? Where does it originate from? Also, is the tasawwuf from Quran and Sunnah? And is Sufism another word for it? Also, can you explain how Chishtiya do Bara Tasbih Zikr, what they read and how many times? Is a woman allowed to do Bara Tasbih Zikr? Also, what do we focus on whilst doing Zikr? And how does one move his head during the Zikr? So, another question is, why is the importance of Zikr so stressed upon? I find it hard to do it regularly after Fajr. What should I do? Also, how can one gain tawajjuh and du'as of one sheikh? Also, I live far from Bolton and I'm unable to spend much time in my sheikh's company. I feel like I'm losing these precious opportunities. What advice would you give me? So, many, mashallah, अच्छे सवालात हैं. Sheikh I wanted to ask, is there any dua to suppress my appetite? I keep eating too much sugary foods. तो क्या जवाब दें इसका? इसका जवाब तो पहले देना चाहिए. Before we work on our spiritual health, we need to work on our physical health. Because if we are physically well and able, then we will be able to work on our spirituality as well and gain, spiritual upliftment and progress and taraqqi as well. So physically we have to be healthy. If you know that too much sugar is harmful for you, then leave it. असल में good health जो है ना, the secret of good health is controlling your diet. In Arabic they say al-wiqayatu khayrun min al-ilaj. In English they say prevention is better than cure. So if you control your diet, you eat the right stuff. You're not saying you eat too little. No, you eat as much as you want, but the right food, right amount, healthy food. Hazrat Sheikh Rahmatullah Alayhi was asked, Hazrat, क्या पेट भरकर खाना जायज है? Can we eat to the fill of our stomach? And Hazrat said, हाँ, पेट भरकर खा सकते हैं, जी भरकर नहीं. Sometimes हमारा पेट भर जाता है लेकिन जी नहीं भरता. You get it? Our belly is full, but our nafs is not full. Our ego wants more and more and more. और खाओ. ये पिज्जा बड़ा टेस्टी है. 2-3 slices तो खा लिए हैं, लेकिन I can't resist. I have to have 3 more. अब पेट भर गया है लेकिन फिर भी डाले जा. इतना खावे कि वो 2 पेटू बहुत खाया फिर पड़े हुए थे. बड़े पेट का. तो अब हिलने की भी ताकत नहीं थी. couldn't move. तो किसी ने कहा कि भाई ये हजम करने की 2 गोलियां हैं, ये 2 गोलियां खा लो. These 2 tablets for digesting. Eat these 2 tablets. You know what he said? अरे यार, पेट में जगह होती तो 2 अंगूर ही ना खा लेता. If I had space in my belly, I would have taken 2 more grapes. There's no space for the 2 tablets. If I had space, I would have taken 2 more grapes. तो हम तो इतना खाते हैं, यहाँ तक खाते हैं पूरा. तो इतना सारा तो नहीं खाना चाहिए. तो खाने की लिमिट होनी चाहिए. तो खाओ, सब कुछ खाओ, अल्लाह की नेमत है, लेकिन लिमिट के अंदर रहकर खाओ. थोड़ा खाओ. तो मेरे खुसर साहब, अल्लाह उन पर रहमत नाजिल फरमाए, कहा करते थे कि भाई બધું ખાવાનું પણ થોડું ખાવાનું, લિમિટમાં ખાવાનું. So diet does not mean you give up all things and then you become single like a matchstick. No, diet means you control what you eat. You eat everything, but थोड़ा करके, लिमिट के अंदर रहकर. तो शुगर, अब जाहिर है शुगर अच्छी लगती है. अब हमको हमारे दोस्त मुफ्ती हयात साहब कहते हैं कि आप बगैर शुगर वाली चाय पियो. मैंने 2-4 रोज ट्राई भी किया, 1-2 हफ्ते. ना यार, फीकी चाय अच्छी नहीं लगती, वो शुगर लाओ यार. पूरी जिंदगी हमने शुगर वाली मीठी चाय पी है, तो अब फीकी चाय कैसे पिए? वो हलक में उतरती ही नहीं, मजा ही नहीं आता उस चाय में. तो शुगर तो खाना पड़ता है. वी हैव टू टेक शुगर. चलो उसको कम कर दिया. मैं पहले 2-3 चम्मच लेते थे, तो 1 चम्मच ले ली, थोड़ा कम कर दिया. लेकिन वो शुगर के बगैर तो काम नहीं चलता, तो खाना ही पड़ता है. अल्लाह का शुक्र है, बीमारी नहीं है हमको, लेकिन ये कहते हैं कि जरा एहतियात करो कि भाई कुछ हो ना जाए, खुदा ना खास्ता. भाई वो तो अल्लाह के हाथ में है. एहतियात तो हम करते हैं. बाकी शुगरी स्टफ हम नहीं खाते हैं. ये बच्चे सब डोनट शोनट लाते हैं और पता नहीं क्या क्या लाते हैं, सब ऐसे मीठी चीजें, केक वेक, हमको ये चीजें नहीं अच्छी लगती है. तो हाँ, कोई ऐसा मीठा डिजर्ट हो, जैसे कल हमारे यहाँ से वो आया था मैंगो वाला डिजर्ट, बड़ा अच्छा था. तो ऐसे मीठा डिजर्ट हो तो वो तो खा लेते हैं, उसके बगैर उसको तो नहीं छोड़ सकते, वो तो खाना ही पड़ेगा. تو بعض چیزیں کھانی پڑتی ہیں لمٹ میں. تو آپ فکر نہ کرو, you don't need to suppress your appetite. All you need to do is just control your appetite. تھوڑا تھوڑا کر کے کھاؤ, تھوڑا تھوڑا کھاؤ. تو بعض مرتبہ نفس کو تھوڑا مارنے کا کہ آج میں نے اتنا کھا لیا ہے, بس یہ بہت ہو گیا, اب اس سے زیادہ مت کھاؤ. اور یہ لمٹ پوری ہو گئی ہے, لمٹ پر پہنچ گئی ہے. what لقمان حکیم علیہ السلام said, if you've eaten just enough, then that extra morsel which you have left, it is better to give that to a dog than put it in your own belly. اگر آپ نے کھانا کھا لیا ہے, پیٹ بھر گیا ہے, تو اب جو ایک لقمہ نوالا باقی ہے تو خود کھانے کے بجائے کتے کو کھلا دینا بہتر ہے, کیونکہ آپ کا کوٹا پورا ہو گیا ہے. جب کوٹا فنش ہو گیا تو اب اس میں اور مت ڈالو, ورنہ پھر کیا پرابلم ہو جائے گا, ہضم کرنے کا پرابلم ہوگا. ہضم کیسے کریں گے, ڈائجسٹ نہیں ہوگا, پھر نیند اڑ جائے گی, پریشانی ہوگی. اور اسپیشلی ایز یو گیٹ اولڈر, your digestive system goes weak. When you're young, ابھی تو تم جوان ہو رہے youngsters, تم لوگ کو پتھر بھی ہضم کر لو گے. You can digest rocks and stones as well, because your digestive system is strong. اور تم لوگ کھاؤ, تمہارا کھانے کا زمانہ ہے. نہیں کھاتے ہیں تم لوگ, گھی بھی نہیں کھاتے, دودھ بھی نہیں پیتے, یوگرٹ بھی نہیں کھاتے, لسی بھی نہیں پیتے. These things are good for you. فروٹ نہیں کھاتے تم لوگ, ویجیٹیبل نہیں کھاتے, کیرٹس وغیرہ نہیں کھاتے, کیوکمبر نہیں کھاتے. یہ چیزیں تمہارے لیے اچھی ہیں. تو فروٹ کھاؤ, لسی پیو, یوگرٹ کھاؤ, دہی کھاؤ, ہے نا. پچھلے زمانے میں تو ہمارے میں تو کھچڑی کڑھی پکا دیتے تھے, تو کھچڑی میں برابر گھی ڈال کے برابر مکس کر کے کھاتے تھے. بلکہ دودھ بناتے تھے تو دودھ میں بھی گھی ڈالتے تھے, اور گھی مکس کر کے بادام, پستہ, کاجو پاؤڈر اور دودھ اور گھی اور سب ملا کر کے پھر پیتے تھے. پھر اسے بونز بھی اسٹرانگ ہوتے تھے. اسی لیے میں اپنے بہت سے بچوں سے زیادہ اسٹرانگ ہوں. یعنی مطلب یہ ہے کہ الحمدللہ ٹائم پر سونا, ٹائم پر جاگنا, کام سب برابر کرنا. بہت مرتبہ یہ لوگ تھک جاتے ہیں اور ہماری بیٹری چلتی رہتی ہے, کیونکہ اللہ کی مہربانی سے بچپن میں ہمارے نانا کے یہاں برابر گھی بھی کھایا ہے, دودھ بھی پیا ہے, باقاعدہ وہ فل فیٹ والا دودھ پیا ہے. وہاں تو کون نکالتا ہے, وہ تو بھینس کا ادھر دودھ نکالا اور ادھر پیا فریش. تو اس لیے یہ کھانے پینے کے معاملے میں ہم کو احتیاط کی بھی ضرورت ہے اور اچھا کھانے کی ضرورت ہے. قل من حرم زینت اللہ التی اخرج لعباده والطیبات من الرزق. طیبات, ہولسم, طیب رزق کھانا ہے. ہمارا نعمان دوست بیٹھا ہے, یہ اپنے بچوں کو فل کریم والا دودھ پلاتا ہے, اور وہ جو کیا نام ہے, فری رینج والے انڈے کھلاتا ہے, اور وہ یوگرٹ بھی, گھی بھی ہوم میڈ پراپر فل فیٹ والا. تو بچے ہیں یہ تو پتھر ہضم کر جاتے ہیں, ان کو تو کھلانا چاہیے. ان کو کیا وہ پتلا والا دودھ پلانے کا, سیمی اسکیمڈ اور لال والا دودھ ان کو چاہیے نہیں, پانی ہے وہ, یہ پانی پلاتے ہیں بچوں کو. پانی نہیں پلانا ہے, فل کریم والا فل برابر تھک کھلانا چاہیے بچوں کو. بوڑھے جو ہیں وہ احتیاط کریں, کولیسٹرول والے ہیں, یہ ہے وہ ہے, بلکہ ان کو بھی تھوڑا تھوڑا تو کھانا چاہیے. کولیسٹرول کی ٹیبلٹیں کھاتے ہیں اور اپنی ہیلتھ خراب کرتے ہیں. کولیسٹرول کی ٹیبلٹ ڈسٹ بن میں پھینک دینی چاہیے, بیکار ہے, خواہ مخواہ انسان کی صحت کو خراب کرتی ہے, انسان کو ڈیمینشیا کراتی ہے. کولیسٹرول کی ٹیبلٹ سے ڈیمینشیا ہوتا ہے. اس کے بجائے بہتر یہ ہے کہ آپ تھوڑی ڈائٹ کرو, کولیسٹرول بنانے والی چیزیں بند کر دو, کیک شیک بند کر دو, فرائیڈ فوڈ بند کر دو, فیٹی اسٹف بند کر دو, تمہارا کولیسٹرول خود بخود کنٹرول میں ہے. تھوڑا واک کرو, چلو. وہ ہم کو کولیسٹرول 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 بولے, کولیسٹرول کیا ہے, کہتے ہیں یہ سینٹرل ہیٹنگ کی پائپنگ سسٹم ہے نا, اس میں کچرا بڑھ جائے تو پانی برابر جاتا نہیں, ہیٹر گرم نہیں ہوتا, تو ہماری وینز میں وہ کچرا جم جاتا ہے, تو وہ بلڈ برابر سرکولیٹ نہیں ہوتا. اچھا, تو اس کا علاج کیا ہے؟ اس کا علاج تو یہ ہے کہ فیٹی فوڈ نہیں کھانے کا. مہنگا ٹھیک ہے, نہیں کھائیں گے, بند کر دیا, کریم بند کر دی, ڈبل کریم, اور فرائڈ سٹف جو ہے ریڈیوس کر دیا, سموسا ایک کھا لیا, 2 کھا لیا, اور چیزیں کنٹرول کر لی. ایک دفعہ میں ایک دوست سے کہنے لگا, یار یہ لوگ بہت ڈراتے ہیں کولیسٹرول سے. وہ مجھے کہتا ہے, مول صاحب آپ کو کولیسٹرول کبھی نہیں ہوگا. میں کہا کیوں؟ کہ آپ بہت فاسٹ چلتے ہیں. جو آدمی فاسٹ چلتا ہے اس کو کولیسٹرول نہیں ہوتا, کیونکہ جو کولیسٹرول جس کا ہائی ہوتا ہے وہ فاسٹ چل ہی نہیں سکتا. وہ تو ذرا سے دوڑے گا تو ہانف لے گا, ذرا دو چار سیڑھی چڑھ بیچارہ ختم ہو جائے گا. میں نے کہا یار تو نے جزاک اللہ تو بہت اچھا آدمی ہے, تو نے مجھے میں اور فاسٹ چلوں گا. تو اپنے آپ کو کنٹرول کرو, تو یہ ایکسرسائز کر لو, یہ اس سے تم کو فائدہ ہوگا. خیر یہ تو اس سوال کا جواب ہوا. اے بھائی اینی دعا ٹو سپریس ایپیٹائٹ, دعا کیا دیں گے اس میں, کنٹرول کرو. دعا جو ہے دعا از فار گڈ ہیلتھ, اور حدیث میں دعا ہے اللہم انی اسألک الصحۃ والعفۃ والامانۃ وحسن الخلق والرضا بالقضاء وبرد العیش بعد الموت ولذة النظر الى وجهک والشوق الى لقائک فی غیر ضراء مضرہ ولا فتنة مضلہ. What was the first word Huzur used? Allahumma inni as'aluka as-sihha. Sihha means good health. Allah, I beg you for good health, keep me healthy. مانگو اللہ سے عافیت مانگو, اللہ کو بہت اچھا لگتا ہے. اللہم انی اسألک العفو والعافیہ, حضور نے فرمایا صلی اللہ العافیہ, ask Allah for عافیت. What is عافیت? Peace of mind, safety, security, no tension, no problem, آرام, چین, سکون, take it easy, relax. یہ عافیت ہے. اللہ سے کہو اللہ I want عافیت بس, I don't want problems. Don't give me problems, oh Allah. No problems in my health, in my body, in my family, in my home, in my other stuff, in my daily life. Just give me a relaxed, itminan, sukoon wali zindagi. This is afiyat. So ask Allah for good health, ask Allah for afiyat, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you inshallah. This is the sawal ka jawab. آگے جو سوال تھا, someone asked about tasawwuf. Where does it originate from? And is tasawwuf from Quran and Sunnah? Sufism, another word for it. Okay, both questions, two questions, but it's similar, same here. First of all, yes, Sufism is another word for tasawwuf. And yes, tasawwuf is from Quran and Sunnah. The name might not be in Quran and Sunnah, but the reality is in Quran and Sunnah. There's another name for it in Quran and Sunnah. In fact, there are various names for it in Quran and Sunnah. One name in Quran is tazkiyah. Those who are Hafiz know, in the first sipara, towards the end, before وَمَنْ يَرْغَبُ عَنْ مِلَّةِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ, you have the ayat رَبَّنَا وَبَعَثْ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ. تو يُزَكِّيهِمْ تزکیہ, زکا یزکی تزکیتن, زکا یزکو زکاتن کے معنی ہے پاک ہونا, پیور ہونا, کلین ہونا, اور زکا یزکی تزکیتن کے معنی ہے پاک کرنا, کلین کرنا, صاف کرنا. تزکیہ کے معنی کیا ہے؟ صاف کرنا, کلین کرنا. ایک حدیث میں اللہ کے پاک پیغمبر صلی اللہ علیہ وسلم نے دعا مانگی, اللہم آت نفسی تقواہا وزکیہا انت خیر من زکاہا انت ولیہا ومولاہا. Oh Allah, give my nafs and ego its taqwa, and cleanse and purify and clean my nafs. You are the best person who can clean it and purify it. Nobody else can clean my nafs like you. So Huzur used the word tazkiyah. Zakkiha anta khayru man zakkaha anta waliyuha wa mawlaha. And this is tasawwuf, is from tasfiyah. Saffa yusaffi tasfiyatan, safa yasfu safa'an کے معنی صاف ستھرا क्लीन होना। तो वहां से थोड़ा सा अल्फाज को हेरा फेरी करके तस्फिया से तसव्वुफ बन गया। कभी ऐसा होता है लफ्ज आगे पीछे करते हैं, जैसे जज़बा के माना खींचना, तो उसको कभी डिफरेंट करके बोलते हैं जबज़ा। तो जबज़ा में बा और जाल को उल्टा पुल्टा कर दिया, तो जज़बा यजज़िबु जज़बन से बन गया जबज़ा यजबिसु जबज़न। तो यहां भी तस्फिया से बन गया तसव्वुफ, क्योंकि असल इसमें सफाई है, क्लीनिंग है। ये क्लीनिंग process is mentioned in Quran. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and not only once, in the second sipara, second ruku, in the fourth sipara, eighth ruku, in Suratul Jumu'ah, second ayat. Same wordings, وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, 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 وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. One of the duties of the Prophet was to clean and purify and cleanse the Sahaba Kiram, Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in. And Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam did that. Sahaba Kiram, Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in, used to come sit in his company, motionless, and Huzur's tawajjuh, attention, used to clean them. Ajib, Huzur was Huzur, is Allah's Rasul. His tawajjuh was very strong. Allah used to open up things before him. He would sometimes say things. Allah would speak on his tongue, and his words would clean and purify the hearts of those who were sitting there. Many times they wouldn't have to ask the question, Huzur would answer it on his own. And the answer is there. Sometimes question comes in their heart and mind, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who sees the hearts of the people, he sees the hearts of Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam as well. So he inspires Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam to say something which answers that question. Sometimes they would ask question, Ya Rasulullah, I have this problem, can you please help me? Ya Rasulullah, my tongue is not under control, please help me. Ya Rasulullah, give me some advice. And sometimes he gives advice, La taghdab. You have a habit of getting angry. You are a very hot-headed person. So he said, La taghdab. Don't get angry. He said again, give me some nasir. La taghdab. Third time, he said, Ya Rasulullah, give me some advice. La taghdab. One Sahabi came, Ya Rasulullah, give me some advice and keep it short. And he said, Salli salata muwaddi. ولا تتكلم بكلام تعتذر منه غدا. Pray salat like a person who's bidding farewell to the dunya. And don't say any word from which you have to apologize next day. Think before you speak. Don't say something that next day you have to say sorry. Oh, sorry, I'll maaf kar diya. Why did you say it in the first place? So, two beautiful advice. Salli salata muwaddi. Right? If my friend Hafiz Sahab was told, this is your last namaz. After this, I am Malakul Maut. I'm going to take your ruh away. Pray your 2 rakats quickly. He'll be shaking. He won't be thinking about anything else. He'll be thinking about Allah. I'm going to Allah. What am I going to say to Allah? Right? And people used to. Khubayb radiallahu anhu is a Sahabi. Mushrikeen attacked a group of Sahaba. They killed some and they captured Khubayb and Zayd ibn Dathina. With Khubayb, he was sold to some mushrik in Makkah, and they were going to assassinate him for some reason. So he was there as a captive. And they had tied him, tied the chains to his legs and then feet, and then his hands were free. So the one in whose house he was kept used to see grapes with him when there's no grapes in the whole city of Makkah. So he would ask, where do you get these grapes from? Allah sends it for me. One of the children, babies was playing, and he went to Khubayb, and Khubayb had an ustura in his hand, and the child was in his lap. And the mother approached, and she saw that. She started saying, "Oh no, he's going to kill him because he's got that ustura, ustura, shave karne ka blade. So he's got that blade. Maybe he wanted to shave himself or something." And the baby was there, and Khubayb said, "Do you think I'm going to kill him? He's an innocent child. I wouldn't harm. I wouldn't harm a fly. I'm not going to kill him. He's a baby. He came here, so I'm playing with him." And then he let him go. Then they brought Khubayb to kill him, crucify him. And they said, "Khubayb, would you feel happy if you were sitting in your home with your wife and kids, chilling out, and Muhammad was in your place being killed, crucified?" And you know what he said? "I wouldn't be happy to sit in my house chilling out and Muhammad was pricked by a thorn. If I saw that thorn, I would rush and take that thorn out of his foot, but I wouldn't let him suffer any difficulty or harm." And Abu Sufyan said, "I've never seen anyone love Muhammad as I have seen I have never seen anyone love anyone as I have seen the companions of Muhammad love him." Then they said, brought him out, whole arena, lots of people, they're going to kill him. So he said, "Would you allow me to pray 2 rakat namaz?" And they said, "Okay, pray." He did wuzu. He prayed 2 rakat, complete composure, itminan, no fear, no khawf, no tension. He's totally focused, and he loved those last 2 rakats of his life. When he did salam, he said, "If I did not fear that you would think I'm praying because I'm scared of dying, I would have prayed more rakats. I don't want to show you any fear from my side. I'm not scared of death. I'm going to meet Allah." And he said, "فَلَسْتُ أُبَالِي حِينَ أُقْتَلْ مُسْلِمًا عَلَى أَيِّ جَنْبٍ كَانَ فِي اللَّهِ مَصْرَعِي وَذَلِكَ فِي ذَاتِ الْإِلَهِ وَإِنْ يَشَأْ يُبَارِكْ فِي أَوْصَالِ شِلْوٍ مُمَزَّعِي." I don't care on which side my body falls, right side or left side, or on the face or behind, as long as my falling is for the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is all for the pleasure of Allah. And if Allah wills, He can give barakat in the pieces of my body after I am killed. And he was killed. That was his last namaz. But imagine the amount of concentration he had in that namaz. So Hazrat Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam said, when you stand before Allah and you're about to say Allahu Akbar, think for a moment that this is my last namaz. I'm not going to get the chance to pray another 2 rakats. And then start your namaz and be completely focused on your namaz. This is the advice he gave. Because he realized that that person's mind drifts away. He doesn't concentrate in his salah. He needed that advice, like the first person needed advice for staying cool and calm and not getting angry. So he used to cleanse them and see attention on them. He used to look up, take care of them, and he prepared them. And that is why Sahaba are the best of our ummah, because they were the students of Hazrat Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They were the murids of Hazrat Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They were nurtured by Hazrat Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They were purified and cleansed. Their akhlaq, their behavior, it was all cleansed by Hazrat Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. They were most mukhlis people you could think of. Nobody can have ikhlas anywhere near the ikhlas of Hazrat Sahaba Kiram Ridwanullahi alayhim ajma'in. They were really mukhlis. Really, they would never boast over their sacrifices. In fact, if they had set some of their sacrifice and mentioned it, casually, unintentionally, they would seek for God. Astaghfirullah. What did I say? I shouldn't have said this. I don't want to lose my thawab. Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu, on one occasion, he mentioned that we were in one ghazwa and we had nothing to eat and we survived like this, and then we had nothing to wear, our slippers were torn and we had to tie some rags on our feet when walking. And then he said, what did I just say? Sorry, just forget what I said. I shouldn't have said this. I could lose this. He felt he could lose the sawab of that amal by boasting about it. It would be riya. Sahaba were the most mukhlis people, and they used to control themselves. Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhu was one sitting, he had his tongue in his hand and pulling it. So Hazrat Umar passed me, what are you doing, Siddiq? And he said, this tongue of mine, it's taken me to so many destructive places. I've said so many things which I shouldn't have said. I'm punishing my tongue. So it does not say anything bad, any evil, it stays under control. Sahaba, they realize. And this is the barakat of the presence of Hazrat Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu said, إنكم لتعملون أعمالا هي أدق في أعينكم من الشعر وإن كنا لنعدها على عهد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من الموبقات. You do such a'mal and deeds, you feel they are lighter than a hair. But if it was the era of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we would feel it as a major destructive sin, that this is going to throw me in Jahannam. And that was because of the barakat and the presence and the tawajjuh and the attention of Hazrat Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The Sahaba felt it. They wouldn't do anything. जरा सा कुछ हो गया तो वो परेशान हो जाते थे, ये मैंने क्या कर दिया, what did I just do? Astaghfirullah, Allah forgive me. दौड़ कर आते थे, या Rasulullah, please cleanse me, please purify me, cleanse me. I made a mistake, I know I shouldn't have done it, I don't know what happened, I did it, ya Rasulullah, please help me. You know the qissa of Ma'iz Aslami who did zina? Ya Rasulullah, I don't know what happened to me, please carry out the had on me. He said, go from here. He came again and again 4 times. Please clean me, please purify me, cleanse me, carry out whatever punishment I deserve. And Huzur said, asked him properly, clearly, what did you do? Then I did with his wife what a man does, with his own wife. And Huzur asked him clearly, did you have proper sexual intercourse? Yes, I had proper sexual. You didn't just hug her or kiss her or touch her. No. I did everything which a person does with his wife. So he said, okay, you've admitted it 4 times now, so the punishment will be carried out. And he was stoned to death. But he was happy with that. Someone made a remark that look at him, he was stoned like a dog is stoned. Huzur heard it. Astaghfirullah, what did you say? لَقَدْ رَأَيْتُهُ فِي أَنْهَارِ الْجَنَّةِ يَنْغَمِسُ فِيهَا. I have seen him with my own eyes in the rivers of Jannah. He is jumping and swimming into the rivers of Jannah. Because, these days people commit these crimes, but they don't feel it. I said, all right, I don't take you, because I did it, no, I don't take you. I'm sorry, tawbah kar liya, astaghfar kar liya. We zina karte? And not even zina, that Sahabi only kissed a woman. Because she came to buy some khajur from his shop. And he said, there's some good khajur inside. So she went inside to look at the good khajur. And he hugged her, kissed her. And she said, what are you doing? And he let her go. And she ran out. And what did he do? He came to Huzur. Ya Rasulullah, I made a mistake. I deserve the punishment. Please carry out that punishment on me. So Rasul Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam ignored him. Then it was Asr time. So he prayed Asr and he came back and said, Ya Rasulullah, please clean me, purify me, I've made a mistake. And Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him, did you do wuzu before Asr? Yes, I did. Did you pray namaz with us? Yes, I prayed namaz behind you. He said, well, okay, then go. Allah has forgiven you. Allah has revealed this ayat. وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةَ طَرَفَيِ النَّهَارِ وَزُلَفًا مِنَ اللَّيْلِ إِنَّ الْحَسَنَاتِ يُذْهِبْنَ السَّيِّئَاتِ ذَلِكَ ذِكْرَى لِلذَّاكِرِينَ. Hasanat remove sayyi'at. Your sin was not the zina, it was only hugging, kissing. Now, this does not mean you go around hugging everyone and kissing all the girls. Don't do that. This was a genuine mistake. He was a good person. He would never do that. He was parhezgar, muttaqi. It's just sometimes you're overcome by that shahwat and you do something silly. And then you realize, to pastor, what did I do here? You know, he's not a bad person. लेकिन ऐसा कभी हो जाता है. So इस मुल्क में तो there's no escape. So don't do that. If someone puts a case on you for stalking or raping or molesting, you're gone. The whole career is gone. And they'll slaughter you, put you in jail, and put you on the sex offenders list. और तुम्हारी पूरी जिंदगी लाइफ इज खत्म, फिनिश्ड. ये ऐसा नहीं करने का. तो वहां तो अल्लाह के रसूल थे, उन्होंने आकर कहा रसूलुल्लाह मेरी ये मिस्टेक हो गई है, whatever punishment I deserve. Allah's Rasul said, go, no punishment. You are clean, pure. You prayed namaz, Allah has made you clean. Because he had that realization. And it was a time of the Prophet ﷺ. They felt it. So this is, Huzur Akram ﷺ and his tawajjuh and his nurturing and his taking care of the Sahaba, which is cleaning them. Imagine how he transformed the whole society from kufr, shirk, zina, sharab, drugs, whatever you could think of, stealing and killing, murder, rapes, right? Every vice you could think of was present. And it is those same people whom he transformed and he turned them into Sahaba. And it is those same people who became Allah wale and who became Tahajjud Guzar and who used to cry in front of Allah. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu, he would cry like a baby in front of Allah. Such a huge, mashallah, majestic person, tall, strong, healthy, and very lively person, but he would cry in front of Allah. He would cry in the presence of Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Once Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, last night I saw a dream that I was passing by this beautiful mansion, palace, and I saw this beautiful Hurain maid come out of the palace, and there was a stream going by, and she sat down there to do wudu, wash herself. So I asked her, who's this palace? And she replied, this is Umar ibn Khattab's palace. So I thought of going inside and have a look, but then I thought that Umar is extremely ghayratmand. Ghayratmand, he's got too much ghayrat in him, haya. And he will cringe. He won't like it if I went to look inside his palace, especially with that beautiful Hurain. There might be more Hurain inside. So if I went and looked at his Hur, Umar wouldn't like it. So I just kept walking straight. Now when he said that, Hazrat Umar began to shake and cry. And I said, Ya Rasulullah, Awa agharu alayk? Would I be jealous of you going in my palace? وَهَلْ هَدَانِ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِكَ وَهَلْ رَفَعَنِ اللَّهُ إِلَّا بِكَ? Has Allah guided me in any way except through you? If Allah has given me any high rank, it's because of you. If you went in, I would never have felt any jealousy on it. And he's crying, tears flowing. Say, I would never feel jealous on you. So what me, that mighty person who went out to murder and assassinate the Prophet ﷺ, into such a humble person? When the ayat is revealed, لا ترفعوا أصواتكم فوق صوت النبي, don't raise your voices in front of the Prophet. Hazrat Umar used to speak so softly that many times Huzur would have to ask him, I beg your pardon, what did you say? Repeat it again. This is their adab. This is what transformed these Sahaba Ridwanullah alayhim. When Huzur came for Hajjatul Wada and he was at Multazam and Huzur was crying and Umar ibn al-Khattab was behind him and he was shedding tears upon tears. When Nabi Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam turned around and saw Hazrat Umar there, he said, Umar, ha huna tuskabul abarat. This is the place to shed tears. So, who made them, who transformed them from that condition to this condition? Hazrat Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This is tazkiyah. This is wa yuzakkihim. And this is tasawwuf. Cleansing, purifying, transforming, changing the personality of a person. This is what Sufiya Kiram do. And it's also called ihsan. In the Hadith of Jibreel, those Mishkat students who study Hadith, they must have studied this Hadith. Mal ihsan, قال أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. What is ihsan? He replied, that you worship Allah as though you are seeing Him. Because if you don't see Him, He definitely sees you. So when you stand before Allah to worship, you have in your mind that realization that I am looking at Allah. I'm seeing Allah. And if you can't keep that, then know Allah is watching you. Right? Nabi Pak sallallahu alayhi wasallam once saw in the wall of Qibla that someone had spat on there and thick phlegm had come out and it was stuck to the wall. And when he saw that, he was really angry. And he said, who did this? How could you do this? You spit in the wall of the Qibla. Don't spit on the wall. When you are praying, Allah is in front of you. Would you like someone to spit on your face? So he made them realize Allah is there in the diwar of Qibla. So visualize that I am standing in front of Allah, I am seeing Allah. He said, the closest a person can be to his Rabb is when he is in sajda. When you are in sajda, that's when you're closest. أقرب ما يكون العبد من ربه إذا يكون ساجدا. When you put your forehead on the ground, that's the most humble action a person can do. You know, one way of showing humbleness, some people do Janab Adab Adab Huzur, shaking their heads like this. And some people, both hands like this. Some people bow down like in karate kung fu. Right? So this is being humble, showing humility to someone. But the utmost humility is if you fall down in front of someone and put your head on the ground in front of them, you do sajda to them. This is the lowest part of humility that a person can show. And that is why that is not allowed for anyone but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It would be haram to do sajda in front of anyone other than Allah. Now Huzur said, when you put your forehead on the ground, that's when you're closest to your Allah. You're whispering, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la, Subhana Rabbiyal A'la. You're whispering on the earth and it's being heard on the arsh. Your tasbih is going directly above. Allah is watching you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is closest to you in a manner which befits Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, When your heart is cleansed, purified, that's when you get that kayfiyat, that dhyan, and that istihzar, and tawajjuh, attention, focus in your salah. Tasawwuf is to bring that to you. And its second name, which I mentioned, first name which we mentioned was Yuzakkihim, Tazkiyah. Second we mentioned was ihsan. And ihsan means you worship Allah as though you are seeing Him. Because if you don't see Him, He definitely sees you. Now this reminds me of something really nice. You know, our Shaykh is Hazrat Maulana Yusuf Mutala Sahab, Navarallahu Murqadahu, wa barrada madjahu. And his Shaykh is Hazrat Maulana Muhammad Zakaria Sahab, Kandalvi, Summal Muhajir Madani, Navarallahu Murqadahu. And his Shaykh is Hazrat Maulana Khalil Ahmad Saharanpuri, Summal Muhajir Madani, Navarallahu Murqadahu. And his Shaykh is Qutbul Alam Hazrat Yaqdas Maulana Rashid Ahmad Gangohi Rahmatullahi alayhi. And his Shaykh is Hazrat Sayyidul Taifa Haji Imdadullah Muhajir Makki Rahmatullahi alayhi. And then his silsila goes up. Hazrat Miyaji Noor Muhammad Janjanvi Rahmatullahi alayhi. Hazrat Shah Abdul Rahim Vilayati Rahmatullahi alayhi. Going up to Hazrat Baba Fariduddin Gan Shakar Rahmatullahi alayhi. Hazrat Khaja Nizamuddin Awliya Rahmatullahi alayhi. And going up to Hazrat Khaja Muinuddin Chishti Ajmeri Rahmatullahi alayhi. Khaja Usman Haruni Rahmatullahi alayhi. Khaja Abu Sa'id Gangohi Rahmatullahi alayhi. Hazrat Khaja Sheikh Nizamuddin Balkhi Rahmatullahi alayhi. Hazrat Sheikh Abdul Quddus Gangohi Rahmatullahi alayhi. And then going on to Hazrat Khaja Huzaifa Al Murashi Rahmatullahi alayhi. And then going on to Hazrat Khaja Ibrahim ibn Adham Rahmatullahi alayhi, whose Shaykh is Hazrat Khaja Fuzail bin Iyaz Rahmatullahi alayhi. And his Shaykh is Khaja Abdul Wahid bin Zaid Al Basri Rahmatullahi alayhi. And his Shaykh is Khaja Hassan Basri Rahmatullahi alayhi. And his Shaykh is Hazrat Khaja Sayyiduna Ali Al Murtaza Karramallahu Wajhahu. And his Shaykh is Hazrat Sayyiduna wa Maulana Sayyidul Awwaleen wal Akhirin, Khatamun Nabiyyin, Shafi'ul Muznibin, Rahmatul lil Alameen, Ahmad Mujtaba Muhammad Mustafa, Sahibul Maqam al Mahmud, Sahibul Hawz al Mawrud, Sahibul Shafa'at al Kubra, Man dana fatadalla fakana qaba qawsayni aw adna. Hazrat Rasul Akram, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This is how our chain is connected to Hazrat Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And all these akabir were legends of their times. They were one of the greatest awliyaullah of their time. And after Hazrat Gangohi, Hazrat Saharanpuri, Hazrat Sheikh, our Hazrat, and then other Khulafa, Hazrat Sheikh Yunus Sahab, Hazrat Peer Sahab, Mufti Mahmudul Hasan Gangohi Sahab, Hazrat Maulana Munawwar Hussain Sahab. These ulama kiram were also great muhaddithin, mufassirin, fuqaha, muftiyan kiram of their times, of their eras. And all of them were busy in teaching, studying, passing on this knowledge. So they passed on the ilm zahir as well, and they passed on the ilm batin, the ruhani, the spiritual knowledge as well. Hazrat Shaykh Zakaria Rahmatullahi alayhi is a beautiful author. He wrote many books. At the same time, he was in the field of tasawwuf, right? In Sufism. And भाई गाड़ी चल रही है, चलने दो नहीं यार. हाफिज मोहम्मद पांडोर कह रहे हैं अच्छा मैं समझा इनको कुछ चाय पिलाएंगे, शरबत पिलाएंगे, रूह अफ़ज़ा पिलाएंगे, कुछ ठंडा पिलाएंगे। रोजा है, रात को कौन रोजा रखता है यार? कुछ आइसक्रीम खिलाओ, कुछ समोसा खिलाओ, कुछ पिज्जा खिलाओ, कुछ फ्रूट व्रूट खिलाओ यार, बच्चों को खुश करो नहीं। अच्छा मैं क्या कह रहा था, ये हमारे मशाइख जो है ना, these मशाइख they were legends in both fields, right? Hazrat Sheikh Rahmatullah alayhi, last 10 years of his life he spent behind the tasawwuf because he had watery eyes. He could no longer study, right? So Hazrat gave up teaching of Sahih Bukhari to Sheikh Yunus Sahib. He was still there. And whilst he was in Saharanpur, he would go to commence and start off Bukhari Sharif. And then the lessons would be conducted by Sheikh Yunus. And if he was there at the end of the year, he would go for the Khatm Bukhari and Dua. He would go for Musalsalat. But the regular day-to-day durus were by Hazrat Sheikh Yunus. Now, Hazrat Sheikh Rahmatullah Ali spent last 10 years of his life in Tasawwuf, in giving out zikr fikr to people. People would come flock to Saharanpur and they would be his mehmans. He would treat them like guests. In fact, guests, they were his guests. And Hazrat was Hazrat, Ajib person, Hazrat. His condition was something different from other mashayikh. हजरत would say कितने दिन के लिए आए हो, क्या निज़ाम है, 3 दिन 4 दिन 5 दिन हफ्ता, बहुत अच्छा, मजलिस में आया करो, जिक्र फिक्र में बैठा करो, और ये मामूलात, दिस इज व्हाट यू हैव टू डू, और खाना पीना चाय वगैरह सब, सुबह में ब्रेकफास्ट भी, दोपहर का खाना भी, शाम का खाना भी, सब, एवरीथिंग विद हजरत शेख इन हिज हाउस. Who can do that? And Hazrat's wives and daughters were trained like that. बिल्कुल सबका खाना वाना बिल्कुल पकाती थी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह. तो हजरत, because he was into tasawwuf, when Ramzan would come, Hazrat would spend the whole month in i'tikaf. शाबान के चांद से, रमजान के चांद से शव्वाल के चांद तक पूरा 1 month Hazrat would be in i'tikaf. And people would come from all around India to his khanqa. Sometimes they would have 1,000 mu'takif. And Hazrat would provide everything for everyone. So because he was into that field, there was one alim named Maulana Habibur Rahman Ludhianvi, Rahmatullahi alayhi. He had some connections with Hazrat Sheikh, Rahmatullahi alayhi. He would sometimes come and go to Saharanpur. He was more into politics. And he was member of the Muslim League of the time. So he had some reservations and objections on tasawwuf. So once he was traveling from Delhi to Saharanpur, which is about 5 hours in train. So he was daydreaming and thinking that I'm going to get to Saharanpur, I'll go to Sheikh Zakaria, I'll stay with him for a bit, and then I'm going to go to Raipur, and then I'm going to go ahead to where I need to go. But this time I'm going to ask Sheikh a tricky question. And if he gives me this answer, I'll ask him this question. I'll counter him like this. If he gives this answer, I'll counter him like this. If he gives this answer, he had a whole pulao cooked in his mind. Now, when he came to Saharanpur, he met Hazrat Sheikh. Hazrat Sheikh was going for maybe dars or something. And he said, भाई जी, मैं जा रहा हूँ, एक सवाल पूछ के जाना है, उसका जवाब तैयार रखना, मैं वापसी पर जवाब ले लूँगा. I'm going to come back after a few days pass from here. I'm going to ask you a question. Keep the answer ready. I'll take the answer from you when I come back. And Hazrat Sheikh said, क्या सवाल है? What is your question? And he said, ये tasawwuf क्या अला बला है? Yeah, tasawwuf. What this Allah bala of tasawwuf, yes, Sufi. What is this Sufism? What is this tasawwuf? And Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah alayhi said, you don't need to wait for so many days for the answer. Take the answer now. Said, no, I've got a lot of questions and objections on the answer. Hazrat said, no, I'll give you the answer. You can ask me any question you want. And he said, tasawwuf is nothing. The beginning of tasawwuf is hadith niyyat, innamal a'malu bin niyyat, and the ending of tasawwuf is hadith Jibril, hadith ihsan, an ta'budallaha ka'annaka tarah. You start with hadith niyyat and you conclude and finish on an ta'budallaha ka'annaka tarah. What does that mean? When you get on this path of tasawwuf, which is also called suluk, and a murid is also called a salik, because salaka means to take a path, to tread on a path. So salik is a person who is walking on this path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, on this road which takes him to Allah. He's called salik. He's called murid because murid is from irada. Irada means intention. So murid means the intender, the one who has some intention, motive, goal. So the one who is going on this path for his goal. So he's called murid as well. So when you get bayat to a sheikh and you stay in his company and you try to learn from him, the first thing the sheikh will try to bring in you is ikhlas niyyat. He will teach you that you need to be mukhlis in your intention. You need to have sincerity of intention in everything. Whatever you do it for the sake of Allah. Because the first hadith of Sahih Bukhari says, innamal a'malu bin niyyat. Indeed, a'mal, deeds are rewarded according to intentions. If you aim high, if your intention is high, Allah will reward you according to that. If your aim is to get to Allah, Allah will take you there. If your aim to get thawab from Allah, Allah will give you that thawab. We mentioned here, in Bani Israel, once there was some drought, famine. People were really hungry, dying of hunger. So one person who was not very wealthy, he saw all these people are dying. So he was going somewhere and he saw a huge sand dune. Sand dunes? Like you see these Dubai people driving their 4x4s in the sand, right? So when wind and storm comes, it blows the sand from one place to the other and it forms many, many large sand dunes, like a small hill or a mountain. So he saw a massive, sand dune, and sand is thin and faint. It's like fine, it's like atta, it's like flour. So it looks brown and it looks like flour. So he thought to himself, yeah, if I had flour and atta equivalent to this sand dune, I would have made bread with it and I would have fed people so they don't die of hunger. He just had this thought, and he had this thought, I would have done this. And he just passed by. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Prophet of the time that go and tell that person that I have recorded in his a'mal nama the sawab equivalent to that sand dune and making bread and feeding it to people. As though he has fed it, I have recorded that much sawab for him because of the sincerity of his intention. He was mukhlis in his intention, so I have given him that thawab. Imagine, innamal a'malu bin niyyat. Make your intentions correct. Do everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, big or small. praying namaz, keeping roza, giving sadaqah, doing zikr, reading Quran. Any ibadat you do, any good deed, amr bil maruf, nahi anil munkar, going in tabligh jamaat, becoming a hafiz, becoming a alim, right? Doing khidmat of your parents, to the extent that bringing a glass of water for your mom or your dad, or giving them their medicine, helping your grandpa, grandma, and doing something for them, right? Make intention, I am doing this for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Not because I want to get some money out of my mom. I want to get some, from him. I need some new shoes. I need some new clothes. तो जरा few days जरा बराबर खिदमत करूँ, मालिश करूँ, जरा पैसा मल से, तो बस ये काम ठीक ही मारो. And once your job is done, then you forget the malish is gone, and that khidmat is gone as well. This is not for the sake of Allah. This is for your own motive, right? So the first thing you will be taught and you need to learn is, ikhlas niyat, sincerity of intention. We teach al-ashba wa nazair, and the first thing we teach in there is la sawaba illa bin niyya, al-umur bi maqasidiha, the first two qaidas. And Hazrat Shaykh said, you start off with ikhlas in here, and you keep progressing, learning, and slowly, you get to that stage after maybe a few months or years, or maybe you can do it quickly within a few weeks as well. But you get to that stage where you get that realization that I am seeing Allah and Allah is seeing me. And in your ibadat, in the beginning, when you get to that stage, you go over the moon, you see stars. Even when you're praying namaz, you just go over the moon. And this used to happen to us when Hazrat was alive, when we were studying in Darul. And it was the tawajjuh of Hazrat. Hazrat's tawajjuh was really strong, very powerful Hazrat's tawajjuh. And when Hazrat used to give us ma'mulat, especially not during the studying days, during holidays. Some of us students wouldn't go home in holidays, we just stay in Darul. Hazrat was there, Hazrat would stay in the house, and there was a porter cabin there, we used to have classes in there. So Hazrat said, stay here in holidays, we'll work on our some khutut or something. Hazrat said, there's no lessons here, roza rakho. Everybody keep roza. So we used to keep roza. And then Hazrat would prepare some nice food for us at iftar time. And he would tell us to go at the back and eat. And because he had to pray his awabin, he would pray his awabin after everybody sat down to eat. And he would continue with his awabin. Hazrat would pray long awabin in those days. And Hazrat mentioned to us the kayfiyat of Hazrat Shaykh. And I noticed that kayfiyat was on our Hazrat as well. Because Hazrat would stand in awabin motionless. No movement at all. Like Hazrat Shaykh used to in Chasht namaz. And Hazrat Shaykh would keep reading Quran, reading, to the extent that sometimes bees would come and sit on his shoulder. Now, if there is slight movement, bees would fly away, but they would sit. Sometimes, Hazrat is in that concentration and attention, he would just shake very, heavily, and all the bees would fly off. Hazrat Sheikh's condition was like that. And we noticed our Hazrat's condition was like that as well. And during those days would be the best days for us. Because we would get lots of tawajjuh. There would be no students, no lesson, only a few of us. And we would get the most tawajjuh of our Hazrat. And when we would pray namaz, we would also feel like we're on the moon. And really, we could see stars. This is the tawajjuh of Shaykh, right? And then you get to that stage where you feel that I am looking at Allah, I am seeing Allah. And if you can't feel that, you will feel that Allah is seeing me. So Hazrat Shaykh Rahmatullah Alayhi said to Maulana Habibur Rahman Ludhianvi Sahab कि तसव्वुफ की इब्तिदा हदीस नियत है और उसकी इंतहा حدیث احسان ہے. Now Maulana Habibur Rahman is scratching his head. What objection can I make on here? Hazrat said, take this answer. And I said, okay, no problem, no questions. I understood. It's not tasawwuf is not about jumping with joy and dancing and going round in zikr. And tasawwuf is not about kushuf and karamat and seeing things and visualizing things. And tasawwuf is not about just sitting down all the time and doing nothing, right? No, tasawwuf is to stay in a natural way like a normal human being. But when the time is for zikr, you do zikr. When the time is for ibadat, you do ibadat. The time is for namaz, you pray namaz. But when the time is for playing, you play. When the time is for, with your family, with your kids, with your grandkids, you spend the time with them, right? So doing everything that is the requirement of that time is what tasawwuf teaches you. tasawwuf لکل ادب. ہاں ایک منٹ میں اس میں سے کہیں غلطی نہ ہو جائے. عمرو بن عثمان الملائی سے التصوف ان يكون العبد مشغولا في كل وقت بما هو الاولى في ذلك الوقت. Tasawwuf is that a person remains busy at all times in the thing that is most appropriate for that time. When you're at work, you work with amanatdari to the best of your ability. You try your best to, work properly and protect the property of your boss and earn him most profits because he's going to give you your wages. So you try your best. When you're studying in school, college, uni, you try your best and you work properly. You don't do anything silly. When you're becoming hafiz, alim, you try your best. And then when it's your free time, 4 to 6, masalan, you go out, you play football, enjoy yourself, right? When you're sitting with friends, you chill out. When it's time to eat, you eat. It's ice cream khao, samosa, bhajia, pizza, khao jo khana hai. Shariyat ye nahi kehti hai ki wo bamar ban ke baith jao. So this is tasawwuf. اور بھی اس میں ہے لیکن I think I've taken too much time. لیکن little bit اس کا جواب ہو گیا. جواب ہوا تھوڑا سا. کوئی تصوف کیا ہے سمجھ میں آیا؟ ابھی اور باتیں ہیں پھر کریں گے انشاءاللہ، لیکن ابھی اتنا کافی ہے. بھائی یونس کچھ ہے پیچھے کچھ اینی گروپ کھانا پینا؟ یعقوب تو بیٹھا کیوں ہے؟ تو جانی یار، دیکھتا ہے تو بیٹھ کے. ابو کہاں ہیں تیرے؟ پکڑو تمہارے ابو کو. چلو فروٹ پلاٹر ہے، کھانا تو کھا لیا نا سب. Is there anyone here who's not eaten food? مولانا سجاد صاحب کو کھلاؤ اور ہمارے زملہ صاحب آئے ہیں ان کو کھلاؤ. اچھا زملہ صاحب کہاں گئے؟ زملہ صاحب چلو تو پیچھے جا کے بیٹھ دیتے ہیں. جن کو بھوک لگی ہے کھانا کھا لیں، نہیں تو تھوڑا فروٹ کھا لیں، اور کچھ انہوں نے آئس کریم رکھی ہو تو کھا لیں. اور اس کے بعد 11 بج گئے ہیں، سو جاؤ ہیں. اور فجر از ایٹ 6:15 اور تہجد ٹائم از انٹل 5:05. اوکے تو اس سے پہلے میں بھی 3:30 if you can get up, pray tahajjud, right? And then go back to rest a little bit کیونکہ فجر از لیٹ ہے نا 6:15. تو 6 بجے پھر اٹھ جاؤ، تہجد کے بعد پھر 1 گھنٹہ سو جاؤ، پھر 6 بجے اٹھ جاؤ، 6:15 بجے فجر پڑھ لیں گے. اچھا کل میں یہ سوچ رہا ہوں مولانا صفوان کیا مشورہ ہے، کیونکہ فجر بعد مشکات شریف کا سبق ہے، ریاض الصالحین کا سبق ہے. تو shall we just do the سبق over here، مشکات ریاض الصالحین، اور ذکر مجلس دوپہر کو ظہر بعد کر لیں گے تاکہ فجر بعد مسلسل تھوڑا سبق ہو جائے مشکات والوں کا بھی اور ریاض الصالحین والوں کا بھی. کیا خیال ہے؟ I think that's what we'll do. تو سبق پڑھ لیں گے انشاءاللہ، ٹھیک ہے؟ مشکات اور اس کے بعد ریاض الصالحین. اور سیٹرڈے کو ہم پڑھاتے ہیں سبق، تو ہمارا سبق ناغا نہ ہو. اور ذکر جو ہے دوپہر کو ظہر بعد کر لیں گے. تو پہلے ہم ختم خواجگان پڑھیں گے، ختم خواجگان کے بعد ذکر کر لیں گے، اس کے بعد تھوڑا بیان ہو جائے گا، ٹھیک ہے؟ سبحان اللہ بحمدہ سبحانک اللہم وبحمدک نشہد ان لا الہ الا انت نستغفرک ونتوب الیک۔ پروردگار عالم ہمارے اٹھنا بیٹھنا کہنا سننا قبول فرمائیے۔ یہ ہمارے بچے آئے ہوئے ہیں، دوست آئے ہوئے ہیں، علماء کرام ہیں، یا اللہ ان سب کے آنے کو قبول فرمائیے، سب کو جزائے خیر عطا فرمائیے۔ اللہ ہم سب کو آپ کی محبت، آپ کی معرفت، آپ کا قرب نصیب فرمائیے۔ اللہ ان سب کو اپنے محبوب اور مقرب بندوں میں شامل فرمائیے، اولیاء اللہ میں شامل فرمائیے، مخلصین میں شامل فرمائیے، تصوف کی حقیقت سمجھنے کی توفیق عطا فرمائیے، اور یا اللہ صوفیاء کرام کے طرز پر چل کر آپ کو راضی اور خوش کرنے کا فکر ہم سب کو نصیب فرمائیے۔ ہماری ٹوٹی پھوٹی دعائیں قبول فرمائیے، ہر خیر اور برکت نصیب فرمائیے، ہر شر اور مصیبت اور بلا اور آفت اور پرابلم سے ہم سب کی حفاظت فرمائیے۔ ربنا تقبل منا انك انت السميع العليم وتب علينا انك انت التواب الرحيم وصلی اللہم وسلم علی سیدنا محمد وآلہ وصحبہ اجمعین برحمتک یا ارحم الراحمین۔